Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll continue our reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lila chapter 4, verse 103 onwards. Mukham Karudi Vachalam. Pangum Langate Girim Yat Kripa Tamham Vande Shri Gurum Din Tarinam Parmananda Madham Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Harim. That's it. Achara Prachara Namera Karah Dui Karya Tumi Sarva Guru Tumi Jagatera Arya. You simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name by your personal behavior and by your preaching. Therefore, you are the spiritual master of the entire world, for you are the most advanced devotee in the world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sanātana Gosvāmī clearly defines herein the bona fide spiritual master of the world. The qualifications expressed in this connection are that one must act according to the scriptural injunctions and at the same time preach. One who does so is a bona fide spiritual master. Haridas Thakur was the ideal spiritual master because he regularly chanted on his beads as a prescribed number of round times. Indeed, he was chanting the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times a day. Similarly, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day, which can be done without difficulty, and at the same time they must preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the gospel of Bhagavad-Gita as it is. One who does so is quite fit to become a spiritual master of the entire world. Verse 104. E mata dui jana nana katha range, Krishna katha aswadaya rahi ek sange. In this way, the two of them passed their time discussing subjects concerning Krishna, thus they enjoyed life together. Verse 105. Yatra kale aila sab gauder bhakt gana purvavat kaila sabe rath yatra darshana. During the time of Rath Yatra, all the devotees arrived from Bengal to visit the car festival as they had done previously. Verse 106. Rath agre prabhu taiche karila nartana dekhi chamatkar haila Sanātana mana. During the Rath Yatra festival, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again danced before the car of Jagannātha. When Sanātana Gosvāmī saw this, his mind was astonished. Verse 107. Varshar chari mas rahila sab nij bhakt gane sabha sange prabhu milaila Sanātane. The Lord's devotees from Bengal stayed at Jagannath Purī during the 4 months of the rainy season, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Sanātana Gosvāmī to them all. Verse 108 and up to 110. Advaita Nityananda Srivas Vakreshwara Vasudeva Murari Raghav Damodara Puri Bharati Swarupa Pandit Gadadhar Sarvabhauma Ramananda Jagadananda Shankara Kashishwara Govindadi Yata Bhakta Gana Sabal Sane Sanātaner Karaila Milana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Sanātana Gosvāmī to these and other selected devotees: Advaita Acharya, Nityanand Prabhu, Srivas Thakur, Vakreshwar Pandit, Vasudev Datta, Murari Gupta, Raghav Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Pramanand Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, Swarup Damodar, Gadadhar Pandit, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharyas, Ramananda Rai, Jagadananda Pandit, Shankar Pandit, Kashishwar, and Govinda. Verse 111. Yatha yogya karaila sabar charan vandan tandre karaila sabar kripar bhajana. The Lord asked Sanātana Gosvāmī to offer obeisances to all the devotees in a way that befitted each other. Thus he introduced Sanātana Gosvāmī to them all just to make him an object of their mercy. Verse 112. Sadgune panditye sabar priya Sanātana yatha yogya kripa maitri Gaurav Bhajana. Sanātana Gosvāmī was dear to everyone because of his exalted qualities and learning. Suitably, therefore, they bestowed upon him mercy, friendship, and honor. Verse 113. Sakala Vaishnav Yabe Gauda Deshe Gela Sanātana Mahaprabhur Charane Rahila. When all the other devotees returned to Bengal after the Rath Yatra festival, Sanātana Gosvāmī stayed under the care of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 114. Dola Yatra Adi Prabhura Sangete Dekhila Dine Dine Prabhu Sange Ananda Badila. Sanātana Gosvāmī observed the Dola Yatra ceremony with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, his pleasure increased in the company of the Lord. verse 115. Purve Vaishakh Mase Sanātane Yabe Aila Jeshth Mase Prabhu Tanre Pariksha Karela. Sanatana Goswami had come to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri during this month of April-May, and during the month of May-June, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tested him. Verse 116. Jeshth Mase Prabhu Yameshwar Tota Aila Bhakt Anurodhe Tahari Bhiksha Ye Karela. Yameshwar Tota is to the garden of Lord Shiva. Yameshwar. In the month of May-June, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the garden of Yameshwar, that is Lord Shiva, and accepted prasadam there at the request of the devotees. Verse 117. Madhyana Bhiksha Kale Sanatane Bolaila Prabhu Bolaila Tandra Anand Badila. At noon, when it was time for lunch, the Lord called for Sanatana Goswami, whose happiness increased because of the call. Verse 118. Madhyane Samudra Valu Hanache Agni Sama Sai Pathe Sanatana Karila Gamana. At noon, the sand on the beach was as hot as fire, but Sanatana Goswami came by that path. Verse 119. Prabhu Bolanche Ei Anandit Mane Tapt Valu Kate Papode Taha Nahi Jane. Overwhelmed by the joy of being called by the Lord, Sanatana Goswami did not feel that his feet were burning in the hot sand. Verse 120. Doi pae poshaka haila tabu gela prabhu sthane bhiksha kari mahaprabhu kariya chena vishrame. Although the soles of his feet were blistered because of the heat, he nevertheless went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There he found that Lord, having taken his lunch, was resting. Verse 121. Bhiksha Avashesha Patra Govinda Tare Dila Prasad Pana Sanatana Prabhu Pashe Aila. Govinda gave Sanatana Goswami the plate with the remnants of Lord Chaitanya's food. After taking the prasadam, Sanatana Goswami approached Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 122. Prabhu kahe kaun pathe aila Sanatana tinha kahe samudra pathe karilun agaman. When the Lord inquired, by which path have you come? Sanatana Goswami replied, I have come on the path along the beach. Verse 123. Prabhu kahe tapt valu kate kemane aila simha dwarer pathas shitala kene na aila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, how did you come along the beach where the sand is so hot? Why didn't you come by the path in front of the Simhadwar gate? It is very cool. Simhadwar refers to the main gate on the eastern side of Jagannath Puri. This is the purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Verse 124. Tapta valukaye tomar pae haila vrana chalite napar kemane karila sahana. The hot sand must have blistered your soles. Now you cannot walk. How did you tolerate it? Verse 125. Sanatan kahe dukh bahut na pailun pai brana hanache taha na janilun. Sanatana Goswami replied, I did not feel much pain, nor did I know that there were blisters because of the heat. Verse 126. Simhadware yaite mor nahi adhikar vishesh thakurer tahan sevakera prachar. I have no right to pass by the Simhadwar, for the servants of Jagannātha are always coming and going there. Verse 127. Sevak gata gati kare nahi avsar tar sparsh haile sarva nash habe mor. The servants are always coming and going without interval. If I touch them, I shall be ruined. Purport: herein it is very clearly indicated that priests performing deity worship should be careful to keep themselves completely pure and not be touched by outsiders. Sanatana Goswami and Haridas Thakur, thinking themselves Mlechas and Yavanas because of their past association with Muslims, did not enter the temple or even travel on the path in front of the temple gate. It is customary for priests of temple in India not even to touch outsiders or enter the deity room after having been touched. This is very important item in temple worship. Verse 128. Shuni Mahaprabhu mane santosh paila tushta hena tandre kichu tahite lagila. Having heard all these details, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, greatly pleased, spoke as follows. Verse 129 and 130. Yadyapiyo tumi hao jagat pavana tuma sparshe pavitra hai deva muni gana tathapi bhakta swabhav maryada rakshana Maryada Palan Haya Sadhur Bhushana. My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. Verse 131. मर्यादा लंघने लोक करे उपहास इह लोक परलोक दुई हय नाश. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished in both this world and the next. Verse 132. मर्यादा राखिले तुष्ट कइले मोर मन तुमी आइछे ना करिले करे कौन जना. By observing the etiquette, you have satisfied my mind. Who else but you could show this example? Verse 133. Etabali Prabhu Tandre Alingan Kaila Tandra Kandu Rasa Prabhur Shri Ange Lagila. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Sanātana Gosvāmī, and the moisture oozing from the itching sores on Sanātana's body smeared the body of the Lord. Verse 134. Bar bar nishedhan tabu kare alingana ange rasa lage Dukha Pai Sanātana. Although Sanātana Gosvāmī repeatedly forbade Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to embrace him, the Lord still did so. Though his body was smeared with the moisture from Sanātana's body, the Sanātana became greatly distressed. Verse 135. Ay mata sevak Prabhu dunhe ghar gela ar din Jagannātha Sanātana re milila. Thus both servant and master departed for their respective homes. The next day, Jagannātha Pandit went to see Sanātana Gosvāmī. Verse 136. Dui jana vasi Krishna katha goshti kaila panditer Sanātana dukh nivedila. When Jagannātha Pandit and Sanātana Gosvāmī sat together and began to discuss topics about Krishna, Sanātana Gosvāmī submitted to Jagannātha Pandit the cause of his distress. 137 verse. Ihan ailana prabhure dekhi dukha khandaite yeba mane taha prabhu na dila karete. I came here to diminish my unhappiness by seeing Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord did not allow me to execute what was in my mind. Verse 138. Nishedite Prabhu Alingana Karena More Kandu Rasa Lage Prabhur Sharire. Although I forbade him to do so, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu nevertheless embraces me, and therefore his body became smeared with the discharges from my itching sores. Verse 139. Aparadha hai mora nahika nistar Jagannātha na dekhiye e dukh apar. In this way I am committing offences at his lotus feet, and from these offences I shall certainly not be delivered. At the same time I cannot see Lord Jagannāth. This is my great unhappiness. Verse 140. Hita nimitta ailana ami haila viparite ki karile hita haya nari nirdharite. I came here for my own benefit, but now I see that I am getting just the opposite. I do not know, nor can I ascertain how they will be benefit for me. Verse 141. Pandit kahe tumhar vas yogya vrindavan ratha yatra dekhi dahan karha gaman. Jagannātha Pandit said, the most suitable place for you to reside is Vrindavan. After seeing the Rath Yatra festival, you can return there. Verse 142. प्रभुर आज्ञा हानचे तुमा दुई भाई वृंदावने वैसा तहान सर्व सुख पाइये. The Lord has already ordered both of you brothers to situate yourselves in Vrindavan, therefore there you will achieve all happiness. Verse 143. Ye karye aila prabhu dekhila charana rathe Jagannātha dekhi kara gaman. Your purpose in coming has been fulfilled, for you have seen the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, after seeing Lord Jagannātha in the Rath Yatra car, you can leave. Verse 144. Sanātana kahe bhal kaila upadesh tahan ya sei mora prabhu datta desh. Sanātana Gosvāmī replied, you have given me very good advice. I shall certainly go there, for that is the place the Lord has given me for my residence. Purport. The words Prabhu Datta Desh are very significant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult teaches one not to sit down in one place, but to spread the devotional cult all over the world. The Lord dispatched Sanātana Gosvāmī and Rupa Gosvāmī to Vrindavan to excavate and renovate the holy place, and from there establish the cult of bhakti. Therefore, Vrindavan was given to Sanātana Gosvāmī and Rupa Gosvāmī as their place of residence. Similarly, everyone in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult should accept the words of spiritual master and thus spread Krishna consciousness movement. They should go everywhere to all parts of the world, accepting those places as their Prabhu Datta Desha, the places of residence given by the spiritual master or Lord Krishna. The spiritual master is the representative of Lord Krishna. Therefore, one who has carried out the orders of the spiritual master is understood to have carried out the orders of Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to spread the bhakti cult all over the world. Prithivite ache yata nagaradi grama. Therefore, devotees in the line of Krishna consciousness must go to different parts of the world and preach as ordered by the spiritual master. That will satisfy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 145. Eta bali tunhe nij karye uthi gela, Aradin Mahaprabhu milibare aila. After talking in this way, Sanātana Gosvāmī and Jagadananda Pandit returned to their respective duties. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Haridas and Sanātana Gosvāmī. Verse 146. Haridas Kaila Prabhur Charanavandana, Haridas se Kaila Prabhu Prema Lingan. Haridas Thakur offered obeisances to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord embraced him in ecstatic love. Verse 147. Dur haite dand pranam kare Sanātana Prabhu bolaye bar bar karite alingan. Sanātana Gosvāmī offered his obeisances and dandavats from a distant place, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called him again and again to embrace him. Verse 148. Aparad bhay tenha milite na aila, Mahaprabhu milibare se thani gela. Out of fear of committing offenses, Sanātana Gosvāmī did not come forward to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, however, went forward to meet him. Verse 149. Sanātan bhagi pache kare na gamana balatkare kare dhari Prabhu kaila lingan. Sanātana Gosvāmī backed away, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu caught him by force and embraced him. Verse 150. Dui jana lena Prabhu vasila pindate nirvinna Sanātana lagila kahite. The Lord took them both with him and sat down in a sacred place. Then Sanātana Gosvāmī, who was advanced in renunciation, began to speak. Verse 151. Hita lagi ainu muni haila viparita, seva yogya nahi aparad karon niti. I came here for my benefit, he said, but I see that I'm getting just the opposite. I'm unfit to render service. I simply commit offenses day by day, day after day. Verse 152. Sahaja nich jati muni dushta papashya more tumi chunile more apradhaya. Chunile. By nature, I am low-born, I am contaminated reservoir of sinful activities. If you touch me, sir, that will be a great offense on my part. Verse 153. Tahate amar ange kandu rasa rakt chale, tomar ange lage tabu sparshu tumi bale. Moreover, blood is running from infected, itching sores on my body, smearing your body with moisture, but still you touch me by force. Verse 154. Bibhatsa sparshite na kar grina leshe, ei aparadhe mor habe sarvanashe. My dear sir, you do not have even a pinch of aversion to touching body which is in a horrible condition. Because of this offense, everything auspicious will be vanquished for me. Verse 155. Tate ihan rahile mor na haya kalyan, agya deha ratha dekhi yan Vrindavan. Therefore, I see that I will get nothing auspicious by staying here. Kindly give me orders allowing me to return to Vrindavan after the Rath Yatra festival. Verse 156. Jagannātha Pandite Ami Yukti Puchila Vrindavan Yaite Tenha Upadesh Dila. I have consulted Jagannātha Pandit for his opinion, and he has also advised me to return to Vrindavan. Verse 157. Eta Shuni Mahaprabhu Sarosh Antare Jagadanande Kruddha Hena Kare Tiraskari. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in an angry mood began to chastise Jagannātha Pandit. Verse 158. Kalikar Batuya Jaga Aiche Garvi Haila Toma Sabareha Upadesh Karite Lagila. Jagannātha Pandit is only a new boy, but he has become so proud that he thinks himself competent to advise a person like you. Verse 159. Vyavhare Paramarthe tumi tar guru tulya tumare upadesh na jane apan mulya. In affairs of spiritual advancement and even in ordinary dealings, you are on the level of his spiritual master. Yet not knowing his own value, he dares not to advise you. Verse 160. Amar upadesh tumi pramanik arya tumhare upadeshe balak kare aiche karya. My dear Sanātana, you are on the level of my advisor, for you are an authorized person, but Jaga wants to advise you. This is but the impudence of a naughty boy. Verse 161. Shuni Sanātana paye dhari prabhure kaila Jagadanandera saubhagya aji se janila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thus chastising Jagannātha Pandit, Sanātana Gosvāmī fell at the Lord's feet and said, I can now understand the fortunate position of Jagannātha. Verse 162. Apanar asabhagya Aji Haila Gyan Jagate Nahi Jagadananda Sama Bhagyavan. I can also understand my misfortune. No one in this world is as fortunate as Jagadananda. Verse 163. Jagadanande Piyayo Atmiyata Shuddha Rasa Mora Piyayo Gaurava Stuti Nimba Nishinda Rasa. So you are making Jagannātha drink the nectar of affectionate relationships, whereas by offering me honorable prayers, you are making me drink the bitter juice of Nimba and Nishinda. Verse 164. Ajiha Nahila Mor Atmiyata Gyan Mor Abhagya Tumi Swatantra Bhagwan. It is my misfortune that you have not accepted me as one of your intimate relations, but you are the completely independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse 165. Shuni Mahaprabhu Kichu Lajjita Haila Mane Tanre Santoshite Kichu Balena Vachane. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was somewhat ashamed. Just to satisfy Sanātana Gosvāmī, he spoke the following words. Verse 166. Jagadananda Priya Amar Nahe Tuma Haite Maryada Langhanat Amina Paron Sahite. My dear Sanatan, please do not think that Jagadananda is more dear to me than you. However, I cannot tolerate transgressions in the standard etiquette. Verse 167. Kaha tumi pramanik shastre praveen, kaha jagab kali kar batuya naveen. You are an experienced authority in the Shastras, whereas Jaga is just a young boy. Verse 168. Ama keha bujaite tumi dhara shakti keta thani bujanacha vyavahara bhakti. You have the power to convince me, even me in many places you have already convinced me without ordinary about ordinary behavior and devotional service. Verse 169. तुम्हारे उपदेश करे न्याय सहना अतएव तारे आमी करिए भत्सना. Jaga's advising you is intolerable for me, therefore I am chastising him. Verse 169. Sorry, 170. Bahiranga ज्ञाने तुम्हारे न करी स्तवन तुम्हारे गुणे स्तुति कराय याइछे तुम्हार गुण. I offer you my praise not because I think of you being outside an intimate relationship with me, but because you are actually so qualified that one is forced to praise your qualities. Verse 171. यद्यपि कहार ममता बहु जने हया प्रीति स्वभावे कहते कौन भावोदय. Although one has affection for many persons, different types of ecstatic love awaken according to the nature of one's personal relationship. Verse 172. तुम्हार देह तुम्ही कर बिभत्स ज्ञान तुम्हार देह हमारे लागे अमृत समान. You consider your body dangerous and awful, but I think that your body is like a nectar. Verse 173. अपराकृत देह तुम्हार प्रकृत कभू नया तथापि तुम्हार ताते प्रकृत बुद्धि हया. Actually, your body is transcendental, never material. You are thinking of it, however, it is from material conception. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives his opinion about how a person completely engaged in the service of the Lord transforms his body from material to transcendental. He says a pure devotee engages in the service of Lord Krishna has no desire for his personal sense gratification. In this, he never accepts anything for that purpose. He desires only the happiness. Only for the happiness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and because of his ecstatic love for Krishna, he acts in right. He desires only the happiness of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and because of this ecstatic love for Krishna, he acts in various ways. Karmis think that the material body is an instrument for immaterial enjoyment, and that is why they work extremely hard. A devotee, however, has no such desires. A devotee always engages wholeheartedly in the service of the Lord, forgetting about bodily conceptions and bodily activities. The body of a karmi is called material because of the karmi being too absorbed in material activities, always eager to enjoy material activities. But the body of a devotee who tries his best to work very hard for the satisfaction of Lord. Right. Therefore, one who cannot distinguish between devotion and ordinary karma may mistakenly consider the body of a pure devotee material. One who knows does not commit such a mistake. Non-devotees who consider devotional activities and ordinary material activities to be on the same level are offenders to the chanting of the transcendental holy name of the Lord. A pure devotee knows that a devotee's body, being always transcendental, is suitable for rendering service to the Lord. A devotee on the topmost platform of devotional service always humbly thinks that he is not rendering any devotional service. He thinks that he is poor in devotional service and that his body is material. On the other hand, those known as the Sahajiyas foolishly think that their material body is transcendental because of the Sahajiyas foolish think that their material bodies are transcendental. Because of this, they are always bereft of the association of pure devotee, and thus they can not believe like Vaishnavas. Observing the defects of Sahajiyas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung the following in his Kalyan Kalpataru: Amita Vaishnav e buddhi haile, amani na haba me ami pratishtash asi hridaya dushibe haiba nirayagami nij shrestha jani uchistadi dane habe abhimana bhar tae siyatav thakiya sarvada na la iba pujakar. If I think I'm a Vaishnava, I shall look forward to receiving respect from others, and if desire for fame and reputation pollutes my heart, certainly I shall go to hell. By giving others the remnants of my food, I shall consider myself superior and shall be burdened with the weight of false pride. Therefore, always remaining your surrendered disciple, I shall not accept worship from anyone else. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī has written in Lila 20.28, Premera Swabhav Yaha Pramer Sambandha Sai Mane Krishna More Nahi Prema Gandha. Wherever there is a relationship of love of Godhead, the natural symptoms are that the devotee does not think himself a devotee but always thinks that he has not even a drop of love for Krishna. Verse 174, Prakrit Haile Ha Tomara Vapu Nari Upekshite Bhadra Bhadra Vastu Jnana Nahika Prakrite. Even if your body were material, I still could not neglect it, for the material body should be considered neither good or bad, nor bad. Purport Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanātana Gosvāmī, since you are a Vaishnava, your body is spiritual, not material, therefore you should not consider this body to be subjected to superior or inferior qualities. Moreover, I am a sannyasi, therefore even if your body were material, a sannyasi should see no distinction between a good body and a bad body. Verse 175, Kim Bhadram Kim Abhadram Va Dveshya Vastunah Kiyat Vachoditam Tat Amritam Anritam Manasa Dhyatam Evacha. Anything not conceived in relationship to Krishna should be understood to be illusion, Maya. None of the illusions uttered by words or conceived in the mind are factual. Because illusion is not factual, there is no distinction between what we think is good and what we think is bad. When we speak of the absolute truth, such speculations do not apply. Purport: this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.28.4, 26. Dvaite bhajana sabha manodharma ei bhala ei manda ei sabha brahma. In the material world, conceptions of good and bad are all mental speculations. Therefore, saying this is good and this is bad is all a mistake. Purport: Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the absolute truth, ever existing with different varieties of energies. When one is absorbed in the illusory energy of Krishna and cannot understand Krishna, one cannot ascertain what is good for him and what is bad. Conceptions of good and bad are all imaginations or mental speculations. When one forgets that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, he wants to enjoy the material world through different plans at the time. He distinguished between material plans that are good and those that are bad. Actually, however, they are all false. Verse 177, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater. Purport: this is a quotation from Bhagavad-Gita 5.18. Verse 178, Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta iti Uchyate Yogi Sama Loshtrashma Kanchanaha. One who is fully satisfied in knowledge obtained and practically applied in life, who is always determined and fixed in his spiritual position, who completely controls his senses, and who sees pebbles, stones, and gold on the same level, is understood to be perfect yogi. Purport: this is also a quotation from Bhagavad Gita 6.8. Verse 179, Amita Sannyasi Amar Samadrishti Dharma Chandana Pankete Amar Gyan Haya Sama. Since I am in the renounced order, my duty is to make no distinctions and be equipoised. My knowledge must be equally disposed towards sandalwood pulp and dirty mud. Purport: it is the duty of a sannyasi, a person in the renounced order, to be always equipoised, and that is also the duty of a learned man and a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava sannyasi or learned man has no conception of the material world. In other words, he has no conception of anything materially important. He has no desire to use sandalwood pearl for sense gratification, nor does sense gratification makes him hate mud. Acceptance or rejection of material things is not the concern of a sannyasi, a Vaishnava, or a learned person. An advanced devotee has no desire to enjoy or reject anything. His only duty is to accept whatever is favorable for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. A Vaishnava should be indifferent to material enjoyment and renunciation, and should always hanker for the spiritual life of rendering service to the Lord. Verse 180, Ei lagi tuma tyag karite na yuyai grina buddhi kari yadi nij dharma yai. For this reason, I cannot reject you. If I hated you, I would deviate from my occupational duty. Verse 181, Haridasa kahe Prabhu ye kaila tumi e bhaya patra pratarana nahi mani ami. Haridas said, My dear Lord, what you have spoken deals with external formalities. I do not accept it. Verse 182, Ama sab adhame ye kariyach angikar dina dayalu guna tomar tahate prachar. My Lord, we are all fallen, but you have accepted us due to your attribute of being merciful to the fallen. This is well known all over the world. Verse 183. Prabhu hasi kahe shuna Haridas Sanātana tatvatah kahi toma vishaye yaiche moramana. Lord Chaitanya smiled and said, Listen, Haridas and Sanātana, now I am speaking the truth about how my mind is attached to you. Verse 184. Tomare lalya apna ke lalak abhiman lalakera lalye nahe dosh parijgyan. My dear Haridas and Sanātana, I think of you as my little boys, to be maintained by me. The maintainer never takes seriously any faults of the maintained. Purport: when a father maintains a child and the child is maintained by the father never takes seriously the faults of the child. Even if they actually are false, the father does not mind them. Verse 185. Apnare hayamur amanya saman tuma sabare karon muni balak abhiman. I always think of myself as deserving no respect, but because of affection, I always consider you to be like my little children. Verse 186. Matar yaiche balakera amedhya lage gaye grina nahi janme aramaha sukha paye. When a child passes stool and urine that touch the body of the mother never hates the child. On the contrary, she takes such pleasure in cleansing him. Verse 187. Lalya medhaya lalakera chandana samabhaye sanatanera klede amara grina na upajay. The stool and urine of the maintained child appear like the sandalwood pulp to the mother. Similarly, when the foul moisture oozing from the sores of Sanatan touches my body, I have no hatred for him. Verse 188, Haridas kahe tum Ishwar daya maya, tomar gambhir hridaya bhujana na yaya. Haridas Thakur said, my dear sir, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are most merciful toward us. No one can understand what is within your deeply affectionate heart. Verse 189. Vasudeva Galata Kushti Tate Anga Kida Maya Tare Alingana Kaila Hena Sadaya. You embraced the leper Vasudev, whose body was fully infected by worms. You are so kind that in spite of his condition, you embraced him. Verse 190. Alingiya Kaila Tar Kandarpa Sama Anga Pujite Na Pari Tomar Kripara Taranga. By embracing him, you made his body as beautiful as that of Cupid. We cannot understand the waves of your mercy. Verse 191. Prabhu kahe Vaishnava Deha Prakrita Kabhunaya Aprakrita Deha Bhaktera Chid Anandamaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the body of a devotee is never material, it is considered to be transcendental, full of spiritual bliss. Purpose Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to convince Haridas Thakur and Sanātana Gosvāmī that a devotee whose life is dedicated to the service of the Lord is never in the material conception. Because he always engages in the service of the Lord, his body is transcendental and full of spiritual bliss. One should never consider his body material, just as one should never consider the body of the deity worshipped in the temple to be made of stone or wood. Factually, the deity is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without doubt. The injunctions of the Padma Puran therefore state, Arche Vishnau Shiladhir Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Yasya Va Naraki Sahad. That person is a resident of hell who considers the deity worshipped in the temple to be stone or wood, who considers the spiritual master an ordinary man, and who thinks that the body of a Vaishnava fully dedicated to the service of the Lord belongs to the material modes of nature. Verse 192, Diksha Kale Bhakta Kare Atma Samarpana Sai Kale Krishna Tare Kare Atma Sama. At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders unto the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be as good as himself. Verse 193, Sai Deha Kare Tara Chidanandamaya Aprakrita Dehe Tanra Charana Bhajaya. When the devotee's body is thus transformed into spiritual existence, the devotee in that transcendental body renders service to the lotus feet of the Lord. Verse 194, Martyo yada tyakta samasta karma niveditatma vichikirishto me tada mritatvam pratipadyan mano mayatma bhuyaya cha kalpate ve. The living entity who is subjected to birth and death attains immortality when he gives up all the material activities, dedicates his life to the execution of my order, and acts according to my direction. In this way, he becomes fit to enjoy the spiritual bliss derived from exchanging loving mellows with me. Purport: this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.29.34. At the time of initiation, a devotee gives up all his material conceptions, therefore, being in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is situated on the transcendental platform. Thus, having attained knowledge and the spiritual platform, he always engages in the service of the spiritual body of Krishna. When one is freed from material connections in this way, his body immediately becomes spiritual and Krishna accepts his service. However, Krishna does not accept anything from a person with a material conception of life. When a devotee no longer has any desire for material sense gratification in his spiritual identity, he engages in the service of the Lord, for his dormant spiritual consciousness awakens. This awakening of spiritual consciousness makes his body spiritual, and thus he becomes fit to render service to the Lord. Karmis may consider the body of a devotee material, but factually it is not. For a devotee has no conception of material enjoyment. If one thinks that the body of a pure devotee is material, he is an offender, for that is Vaishnava Aparadh. In this connection, one should consult Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī's Brihad Bhagavat Amrita 1.3.45 and 2.3.139. Verse 195, Sanātanera Dehe Krishna Kandu Upajana Ama Parikshite Ihan Dila Pathan. Krishna somehow or other manifested these itching sores on the body of Sanātana Gosvāmī and sent him here to test me. Verse 196. Ghrina kari alingana na karitam yabe Krishna thani aparadh dand paitama tam tabe. If I had hated Sanatana Goswami and had not embraced him, I would certainly have been chastised for offenses to Krishna. Verse 197. Parishad deh ei na hai durgandha prathama divase pailun chatushma gandha. Sanatana Goswami is one of the associates of Krishna. There could not be any bad odor from his body. On the first day I embraced him, I smelled the aroma of chatushma, a mixture of sandalwood pulp, camphor, aguru, and musk. Purport: an associate of the Lord is one of whose body is fully engaged in the service of the Lord. A materialist might see Sanatana Goswami's body as being full of itching sores that exuded foul moisture and bad smell. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, said that actually the aroma of his body was the excellent scent of mixture of sandalwood pulp, camphor, musk, and aguru. In the Garud Puran, this mixture, which is called Chatushma, is described as follows: Kasturi Kaya Dvau Bhagau Chatavarash Chandanasya tu Kunkumasya Trayash Chaikah Shashinah Syat Chatuh Samana. 2 parts of musk, 4 parts of sandalwood, 3 parts of aguru or saffron, and 1 part of camphor, when mixed together, form Chatushma. The aroma of Chatushma is very pleasing. It is also mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas, 6th Vilas. Verse 198. Vastutah Prabhu Yabe Kaila Alingana Tanra Sparshe Gandha Haila Chandanera Sama. In fact, however, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced the body of Sanatana Goswami by the Lord's touch, there was manifested a fragrance exactly like that of sandalwood pulp. Verse 199. Prabhu kare Sanatana na maniha dukha tomar alingane ami pae bada sukha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, My dear Sanatan, do not be aggrieved, for when I embrace you, I actually get great pleasure. Verse 200. Ei vistar vatsara tumi ihan raha ama sane vistar nahi rahi tomare ami pathaimu vrindavane. Stay with me at Jagannath Puri for 1 year, and after that I shall send you to Vrindavan. Verse 201. Etabali punaha tanre kaila alingana kandu gela ang kaila suvarnera sama. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again embraced Sanatana Goswami. Thus immediately Sanatana's sores disappeared and his entire body resembled the color of gold. Verse 202. Dekhi Haridas mane haila chamatkar prabhure कहना ei bhangi ye tumar. After seeing change, Haridas Thakur, greatly astonished, told the Lord, This is your pastime. Verse 203. Say jhari khandera pani tumi khao yaila se pani lakshe inhar kandu upjaila. My dear Lord, you made Sanatana Goswami drink the water of Jharikhand, and you actually generated the consequent itching sores on his body. Verse 204. Kandu kari pariksha karile sanatane ei lila bhangi tomar kahya nahi jane. After thus causing these itching sores, you examined Sanatana Goswami. No one can understand your transcendental pastimes. Verse 205. Dunhe alingiya prabhu gela nijalya prabhura guna kahe dunhe hina prema maya. After embracing both Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence. Then Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami, in great ecstatic love, began to describe Lord's transcendental attributes. Verse 206. Ei mata Sanatana rahe Prabhu sthane Krishna Chaitanya guna katha Haridas sane. In this way, Sanatana Goswami stayed under the care of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and discussed the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Haridas Thakur. Verse 207. Dola yatra dekhi Prabhu tanre vidaya dila Vrindavane ye karibena sabha shikhaila. After they saw the Dola Yatra festival, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami fully about what to do in Vrindavan and bade him farewell. Verse 208. Ye kale vidaya haila prabhura charane dui janar vicheda Dasha Nayaya Varanane, the scene of separation that took place when Sanatana Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took leave of each other is so piteous that it cannot be described herein. Verse 209, Ye Vana Pathe Prabhu Gela Vrindavana Sai Pathe Yaite Mana Kaila. Sanatana Goswami decided to go to Vrindavan by the very forest path of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had traversed. Verse 210, Yei pathe yei gram nadi shail yahan ye lila balabhadra bhatt sthane sab likhi neela. Sanatana Goswami noted from Balabhadra Bhattacharya all the villages, rivers and hills where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had performed his pastimes. Verse 211, Mahaprabhura bhakt gane sabare miliya sei pathe chali yaye se sthane dekhiya. Sanatana Goswami met all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then traveling by the same path visited the places through which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had passed. Purport Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in a song Sharnagati 13.1.3, Gaura Amar ye sabasthane Karala Brahmana Range se sabasthana heriba ami pranai bhakta sanghe. May I visit all the holy places associated with the Leelas of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. A devotee should make a point of visiting all the places where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes. Indeed, pure devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even want to see the places he simply visited for only hours or minutes. Verse 212, Ye ye lila Prabhu pathe kaila ye ye sthane taha dekhi premaveshe haya sanatane. As soon as Sanatana Goswami visited a place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had formed his pastimes on the way, he was immediately filled with ecstatic love. Verse 213, Ei mate Sanatana Vrindavane aila pache asi Rupa Goswami Tanhare Milila. In this way, Sanatana Goswami reached Vrindavan. Later, Rupa Goswami came and met him. Verse 214, Eka Vatsara Rupa Gosanira Gode Vilamba Haila Kutumbera Sthiti Artha Vibhaga Kari Dila. Srila Rupa Goswami had been delayed in Bengal for a year because he was dividing his money among his relatives to situate them in the proper positions. Although Srila Rupa Goswami renounced his family life, he nevertheless was not unjust to his family members. Even after renunciation, he returned to Bengal where he properly divided whatever money he had and gave it to his relatives so that they would not be inconvenienced. Verse 240, Godai Artha Chila Taha Anaila Kutumba Brahmana Devalaya Banti Dila. He collected whatever money he had accumulated in Bengal and divided it among his relatives, the Brahmanas, and the temples. Verse 216. Sabha Manah Katha Gosani Kari Nirvahana Nischinta Hena Shigra Aila Vrindavana. Thus, after finishing all the tasks he had on his mind, he returned to Vrindavan fully satisfied. Verse 217. Dui bhai mili Vrindavane vasa kaila prabhura ye agya dunhe sab nirvahila. The brothers met at Vrindavan where they stayed to execute the will of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport: Sri Chaitanya mano bhishtam sthapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kada mayyam dadati swapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within the material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were previously ministers directly in charge of the government of Nawab Hussain Shah, and they were also householders, but later they became Goswamis. A Goswami, therefore, is one who executes the will of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The title Goswami is not an inherited designation. It is meant for a person who has controlled his sense gratification and dedicated his life to executing the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, Srila Sanatana Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami became genuine Goswamis after dedicating their lives to the service of the Lord. Verse 218, Nana Shastra Ani Lupta Tirtha Udharila Vrindavane Krishna Seva Prakash Karila. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami collected many revealed scriptures, and from the evidence in those scriptures they excavated all the lost sites of pilgrimage. Thus they established temples for the worship of Lord Krishna. Verse 219, Sanātana Grantha Kaila Bhagavatamrite Bhakta Bhakti Krishna Tattva Jani Yaha Haite Shila. Sanātana Goswami compiled the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. From this book, one can understand who is a devotee, what is the process of devotional service, and who is Krishna, the Absolute. Verse 220, Siddhanta Sara Grantha Kaila Dashama Tippani Krishna Lila Rasa Prema Yahe Haite Janishwar. Sanātana Goswami wrote a commentary on the 10th canto known as Dashama Tippani, from which we can understand the transcendental pastimes and ecstatic love of Lord Krishna. Verse 221, Hari Bhakti Vilasa Grantha Kaila Vaishnav Achara Vaishnavera Kartavya Yaha Paiye Par. He also compiled the Hari Bhakti Vilas, from which we can understand the standard behavior of a devotee and the full extent of a Vaishnav's duty. Purport: Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes, the Hari Bhakti Vilas was originally compiled by Srila Sanātana Goswami. Later, Gopala Bhatt Goswami produced a shortened version of it and added the Digdarshani Tika. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there are so many quotations from the Satvata scriptures that sometimes it is inquired how the atheistic Samarthas can refuse to accept them and instead imagine some other opinions. What is recorded in Hari Bhakti Vilas strictly follows the Vedic scriptures and is certainly pure, but the attitude of the Karmis is always one of giving up the conclusions of a pure Vaishnav's understanding, because the Karmis are very much attached to the world and material activities. They always try to establish atheistic principles that oppose the understanding of the Vaishnavas. Verse 222, Aryata Grantha Kaila Taha Ke Kare Ganana Madana Gopala Govindera Seva Prakashana. Srila Sanātana Goswami also compiled many of the books. Who can enumerate them? The basic principle of all these books is to show us how to love Madan Mohan and Govindji. Purport: the Bhakti Ratnakar refers to the following books by Srila Sanātana Goswami: Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the Hari Bhakti Vilas and his commentary known as Digdarshani, the Lila Satstava, and the commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam known as Vaishnav Toshani. Sanātana Goswami compiled many books, all with the aim of describing how to serve the principal deities of Vrindavan, Govind and Madan Gopal. Later, other deities were gradually established and the importance of Vrindavan increased. Verse 223, Rupa Gosani Kaila Rasamrita Sindhu Sara Krishna Bhakti Rasera Yahan Paiye Vistar. Srila Rupa Goswami also wrote many books, the most famous of which is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. From that book, one can understand the essence of devotional service to Krishna and the transcendental mellows one can derive from such service. Verse 224, Ujjwala Neelamani Nama Grantha Kaila Ar Radha Krishna Lila Rasat Ahan Paiye Par. Srila Rupa Goswami also compiled the book named Ujjwal Neelamani, from which one can understand to the fullest limits the loving affairs of Shri Radha and Krishna. Verse 225, Vidgata Madhava Lalita Madhav Natak Yugala Krishna Lila Rasa Tahan Paiye Sakala. Srila Rupa Goswami also compiled two important dramas named Vidgat Madhav and Lalit Madhav, from which one can understand all the mellows derived from the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Verse 226, Danakeli Kaumudi Adi Laksha Grantha Kaila Se Sabha Granthe Vrajera Rasa Vicharila. Srila Rupa Goswami compiled 100,000 verses beginning with the book Danakeli Kaumudi. In all these scriptures, he elaborately explained the transcendental mellows of the activities of Vrindavan. Purport: referring to the words Laksha Grantha, that is 100,000 verses, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the total number of verses written by Srila Rupa Goswami is 100,000 Eka Laksha or Laksha Grantha. The copyists count both the verses and the prose sections of the Sanskrit works. One should not mistakenly think that Srila Rupa Goswami compiled 100,000 books. He actually wrote 16 books as mentioned in the first wave of the Bhakti Ratnakar, Srila Rupa Goswami Grantha Shodash Karila. Verse 227, Tandra Laghu Bhrata Shri Vallabh Anupama Tandra Putra Mahapandita Jeev Gosani Nama. The son of Sri Vallabh or Anupam, Srila Rupa Goswami's younger brother, was great learned scholar named Srila Jeev Goswami. Verse 228, Sarvatyaji tenho pache aila vrindavan, tenha bhakti shastra bahu kaila pracharan. After renouncing everything, Srila Jeev Goswami went to Vrindavan. Later, he also wrote many books on devotional service and expanded the work of preaching. Verse 229. Bhagavad Sandarbh Naam Kaila Granth Sar Bhagavad Siddhantera Tahan Paiye Par. In particular, Srila Jeev Goswami compiled the book named Bhagavad Sandarbh or Shat Sandarbh, which is the essence of all scriptures. From this book, one can obtain a conclusive understanding of devotional service and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse 230. Gopala Champu Naam Granth Sar Kaila Vraja Prema Lila Rasa Sar Dekhaila. He also compiled the book named Gopala Champu, which is the essence of all Vedic literature. In this book, he has exhibited the ecstatic loving transactions and pastimes of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. Verse 231. Shat Sandarbhe Krishna Prema Tattva Prakashaila Chari Laksha Granth Tenho Vistar Karela. In the Shat Sandarbh, Srila Jeev Goswami set forth the truths about transcendental love of Krishna. In this way, he expanded 400,000 verses in all his books. Verse 232. Jeev Gosani Gauda Haite Mathura Chalila Nityananda Prabhu Thani Agya Magila. When Jeev Goswami wanted to go to Mathura from Bengal, he requested permission from Srila Nityananda Prabhu. Verse 233. Prabhu Pritye Tandra Mathe Dharila Charana Rupa Sanatan Sambandhe Kaila Alingan. Because of Jeev Goswami's relationship with Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, who were greatly favored by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda placed his feet on the head of Srila Jeev Goswami and embraced him. Verse 234. Agya dila shigra tumi yaha vrindavane tomar vamshe prabhu diyachena se sthane. Lord Nityananda Prabhu ordered, yes, go soon to Vrindavan. That place has been awarded to your family, to your father and uncles by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore you must go there immediately. Verse 235. Tandra Agyay Aila Agya Phala Paila Shastra Kari Kata Keta Kala Bhakti Pracharila. By the order of Nityananda Prabhu, he went to Vrindavan and actually achieved the result of his order, for he compiled many books for a long time and preached the cult of bhakti from there. Verse 236. Eiteen Guru R. Raghunath Das Inha Sabara Charan Vandon Yanra Muni Das. These three, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Jeev Goswami, are my spiritual masters, and so also is Raghunath Das Goswami. I therefore offer prayers at their lotus feet, for I am their servant. Verse 237. Eta kahilun punah sanatan sangame prabhura ashay jani yahar shravane. Thus I have described how the Lord again met with Sanatana Goswami. By hearing this, I can understand the Lord's desire. Verse 238. Chaitanya Charitra E Ikshu Danda Sama Charavana Karite Haya Rasa Aswadana. These characteristics of Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like sugar cane that one can chew to relish transcendental juice. Verse 239. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yara Ash Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath Das, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit following in their footsteps. Purport. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit Ante Lila, 4th chapter, describing Sanatana Goswami's stay with the Lord at Jagannath Purī. Hare Krishna. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.